Welcome back to 843 TV. We were talking with Heather Roth in our earlier segment about all the wonderful activities happening on Hilton Head Island coming up in the next month. And besides all the fun things to do, the beach, the world-class resorts, we've got so much more to know about our island, and that is the wonderful history.
We love the history here. And actually, we're going to pick up from where we talked about Mitchellville and its 10th year celebration. They're having a lot of things going on site.
Mm-hmm. And Kathryn, with your Coastal with Kathryn show, you've learned a lot about this on your own.
I have. You know, it's been such a very cool thing to learn because I've been going out there with 4 different people on site, and each person is a history expert and shares their story and their perspective. Such as Luana Seller-Graves. She has been somebody who's on our island. She's a Black history expert, and she is a journalist. And she also, I think, 6 generations ago, her grandfather escaped from St. Helena as a slave, and
Wow.
he came to Mitchellville, and then he ended up joining the Union Army. I mean, those kinds of the stories. Also, I had Ahmed Ward and listening to his story about how Mitchellville came about with Mitchellville. And then one other person I had interesting was Kathryn Seaboard, and she's the archaeologist. And she's there digging and trying to find artifacts and so understand the history. I think she said something really cool on my show where she says, one thing I love about being an archaeologist is that, when she's going through the soil, she sees the pieces of history that nobody's written down. So that time and place is talking to her. And she does it much more elegant than I'm saying here. But these are the things I wanted to share on my show. And I have to tell you, and it's an important history lesson in our America. This is not just Hilton Head Island. It's a country.
Absolutely, because it dates back to all the war times. And so we're excited to share this wonderful video segment with you from the Heritage Library. Enjoy.
Known for its natural beauty and pristine beaches, Hilton Head Island is one of America's top destinations. But what makes this island so special is its incredible true history that surrounds visitors at every step. From the early Spanish and French explorers, or lawless pirates like Blackbeard or Calico Jack, to the courageous patriots of the Revolutionary War and the brave Union soldiers of the Civil War, the incredible true history of Hilton Head is like no other in America. We begin our journey at the center of it all, a small plot of land that would come to be known as Zion Chapel of Ease Cemetery. The year was 1781, and the newly declared America was engulfed in the fires of its war for independence. South Carolina, a state that faced more battles in the American Revolutionary War than any other, was under fire and about to lose a native son in a surprise attack. In October of that year, Charles DeVant, one of 2 brothers in the Hilton Head Militia Unit, was leading the evening's patrol. As Charles bravely passed through the open terrain, shots suddenly rang out. Charles alone was struck and mortally wounded. Minutes later, he would die in the arms of his loving wife. Charles's brother James and a fellow militiaman, Isaac Baldwin, vowed to avenge his death. On December 23rd, a squad led by DeVant and Baldwin found the enemy asleep in their beds in a Defusky home and executed them where they lay. The markers of the 2 DeVant brothers and Isaac Baldwin are here at Zion Chapel of Ease Cemetery. Because of the bravery of soldiers like the DeVants, America would finally find its freedom. And soon, the Revolutionary War was over, and South Carolina would encounter a period of unprecedented prosperity. Indigo and Sea Island cotton, harvested by slave labor, would fuel the economic engine of this fledgling state. As wealth and peace spread across the region, so too came houses of worship, such as the Zion Chapel of Ease.
Captain Jack Stoney and Isaac Fripp, who were 2 parishioners in St. Luke's, petitioned the parish to get permission to build a Chapel of Ease on Hilton Head Island. It was said to be a simple country church from the outside, but elegantly appointed inside. Carved pews, a beautiful carved altar, a silver communion service from one of the best silversmiths in London.
The importance of Zion grew along with the island's population. and in 1846 the William E. Baynard Mausoleum was erected. This now famous mausoleum was built as the final resting place for members of the Baynard family. At the time, it was the only mausoleum of its kind in the whole Southeast, and became a symbol of the immense wealth of this planter family.
The Planter Society on Hilton Head, many of whom are laid at rest here in this cemetery, were among the wealthiest people in the country at the time.
But the level of prosperity on Hilton Head was only for some, and for the plantation owners, a red dawn was on the horizon. For the Southern economy was built on slave labor, and the first shots of the Civil War were echoing across the nation. Soon, plantation owners and Confederate forces would face the largest armada in U.S. history up until D-Day. Freedom was finding its way to Hilton Head once more, and the Battle of Port Royal had begun. Within hours of the first cannon fire, thousands of Union troops stormed the island only to discover the Confederate soldiers and plantation owners had already fled. All that remained were the formerly enslaved people, left behind to fend for themselves. Shortly after the Union invasion, the Zion Chapel of Ease would be destroyed, its precious silver chalices looted, and the Baynard Mausoleum ransacked. But from the ashes of war came hope, and a new chapter in the island's history, one that is evident even today. For what's most unique about the history of Zion Cemetery and Hilton Head is that the descendants of those inhabitants who fought for freedom in these two wars and the courageous formerly enslaved peoples still call Hilton Head Island home today.
Very proud of the fact that my great-great-grandfather, Prince Brown, was enslaved, able to fight in the Civil War, and use his wages and pension to purchase the very land where he was enslaved in Chaplin. And we are still holding on to that legacy and using the land for our family compound where we live and raise our children. It's so nice to be able to connect the stories that you've told by actually visiting the places where the history happened, right? So Mitchellville, Fort Mitchell, and Zion, and they all have a connector between them that's so significant.
William E. Baynard of the Baynard Mausoleum is my great-great-grandfather's brother. I think it just comes back to the importance of these historical sites to the preservation of history and our story, not only on Hilton Head, but our story as a nation. Today, I think it resonates even louder in terms of preserving our heritage and honoring diversity in our society, but also seeing how we grew from the people that we were to the nation and the community that we are today.
We have such a rich background in American history that needs to be preserved so that future generations of Americans can experience it and learn about it on sites that were significant for that history.
Without the invaluable work the Heritage Library performs, the history of Zion and Hilton Head could be lost. So now, more than ever, is the time to join the library on its vital mission, and together we'll keep this incredible American history alive for years to come.
I hope you enjoyed the segment from the Heritage Library. I mean, it's just beautiful videography as well, and the story that she shared with us is really authentic. Mm-hmm. And we want to thank you so much for joining us for the show. What do you think, Lisa?
I think always a lot to learn on 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak. We'll see you next time.